Remember that we have told you the story of another parallel Earth reality that destroyed their world, and that the humans on that world became mutated into the form you call the Greys. And because they had mutated in such a way, hybridized themselves in such a way to be able to survive on their destroyed version of Earth, they were no longer able to reproduce. And they knew that they would die out if they did not seek out somehow, somewhere, a viable source of still existing human DNA. They used their advanced technology, as we have told you before, to tunnel into various parallel reality versions of Earth, including yours, to find viable human DNA, to infuse with themselves to create hybrid civilizations that would allow their culture to continue and not die out. But the idea of the early Grey, in a sense, because it was something that was created that changed them into a form that could adapt to their dying world, in a sense, is the first hybrid race. The Greys, in the ancient tongue, are the Maz'eh. The Maz'eh are what came into your parallel reality and began the hybridization agenda. So the Maz'eh, the Greys, formed the first hybrid race. The first hybridization level or phase that followed the Maz'eh, or Grey beings, is what we call the Maz'ani. These are what many people in these encounters have recognized as the tall Greys. So they are the next stage of hybridization from the Greys that began to incorporate human DNA and allowed them to begin to change to something a little bit closer to resembling the idea of a hybrid that could continue their species. But it still was not sufficient for a number of reasons. But they were the second hybrid race and, in a sense, phase one of the hybridization agenda. After that came our civilization, the Sassani. So we are the third hybrid race. We are representative of a 50-50 balance between the Greys, the Maz'eh, and the humans on your world and other worlds like yours. We are physically and representationally halfway between the Greys and what you consider yourselves to be as Homo sapien. We are here, as you can see, to share information with you because we are family, we are genetically connected. You are in many ways our ancestors, and we are your descendants, and we will get to that point a little bit more deeply in a moment. The next phase is what was called the Sha-yahyel. This is something that is a little bit more human in appearance, but still containing various aspects of what you consider to be hybrid beings. They still have much larger eyes than you. They are relatively slender like us, but a little bit more toward the human form that you are familiar with. Now, the Sha-yahyel, the fourth hybrid race, act in many ways as guides for the fifth hybrid race, the Ya-yahyel, who are much more human-like, and that's why they are going to be the first hybrid species of the 5 hybrid races that would have open contact with your civilization. They look more or less human. They may still exhibit a few of the ideas of hybrid traits that would make them a little bit different than what you consider a normal or natural human to look like. But nevertheless, the fourth hybrid race, the Sha-yahyel, will act, in a sense, as guides and organizers to help with the agenda of acclimatization for the Ya-yahyel to be able to interact with your world when open contact begins. So they are working very closely together that way. What follows the Ya-yahyel is what has been termed the Sha-l'naya, which in the ancient tongue is the first ones. The first ones being what you typically refer to as the hybrid children that live on the ships that will ultimately be returned to Earth to live among you and begin the process of allowing Earth to blend into and evolve into the sixth hybrid race, eventually. This is what we refer to as the next word in the list, the Enani-Ka. Now, we have initially told you that our ancient word for Earth is Enani, which basically means the ancestors, but more specifically, it was in its ancient form more Nadea, Enani-Ka, which means the place of the ancient mothers. Again, that's a more literal translation, which has now been condensed over time simply into Enani-Ka, which is the ancestor spirits. But in this case, spirit, not only representing the idea by the word Ka of what you consider normal spirit to be, but also the idea of essence. And in this case, a literal reference to DNA. So it is the idea of the ancestor DNA and that which will allow there to be a blending, a harmonization, and a continuing of evolution for Earth to become the sixth hybrid race. Now, we have previously also told you that there would be ultimately a seventh hybrid race that would be a blending of all the other six. This will be a new type of being that will represent a very different way of existing in physical reality, that will exhibit many traits of spirits and other dimensions, will have an interesting expression of power and passion and peace, that will explore and unify many different star systems, many different galaxies in time. So Earth is forming the last foundational component for the seventh hybrid race, which on the list is referred to as Het, or Anu-Het, which means they are the conclusion of the cycle, the grand cycle that was begun by the Anunnaki and ends with the Anu-Het, and brings forth a new species, as we said, of power, passion, and peace. Now, this all goes toward the understanding of the real transformation that's taking place on your planet. This entire cycle is really what the transformation is all about. This upgrade, this uplift, this ascension into new forms, new expressions of great power and passion and peace and benefit and creativity and unconditional love that can ignite a new wave of experience and a new series of civilizations within your star system, other star systems, and the galaxy and other galaxies. This is the beginning of a new cycle with the Anu-Het, a new form of the Anunnaki for a different purpose of expanding creation in a new and unique way, in a much broader way, in a much more expanded way. The real gift is that because we noticed that your planet was heading down the same path as the alternate Earth that destroyed themselves and turned into the Greys, the Maz'eh, the real gift is that in giving you this information, which the other world did not have, the other Earth did not have, with this information, you get to skip all the intervening phases, the Maz'eh, the Maz'ani, the Sassani version of yourselves, the Sha-yahyel, the Ya-yahyel, the Sha-l'naya. You get to go straight from the idea of being human into being Enani-Ka, the uplifted version of yourselves, skipping over literally thousands of years of necessary evolution. That's the gift that we're actually giving to you by sharing this information with you, to highly accelerate your ability to become the sixth hybrid race without going through what that alternate version of Earth went through in creating or needing to create all those different phases to bring themselves back into balance, back into center. You can skip all of that by applying the information we share with you. That is our gift to you.
So can you tell us more about the Mantis beings?
They are the overseers of the hybridization program. Because the Greys, at one point, decided that they had to give up their emotionality and become a hive mentality in order to accomplish the task, because it was so large. They knew they needed someone to guide them. And so, in a sense, the mantis beings were, well, I'll use your word, hired to guide them. So the mantis beings are the overseers of the hybridization program.
I see. So
They had to give up their emotionality to reclaim their emotionality in the hybrids.
and how are they assisting humanity with that project?
Am I assisting you?
Yes.
Then you know.
Perfect. Thank you.
Because my civilization is one of the hybrid civilizations that resulted from the hybridization agenda.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
We are helping to make sure, of course it's your choice, you do not go down the same path that the Greys went down when they were humans on a parallel Earth where they destroyed their reality.
Got it.
Remember that the Greys are mutated humans. They're not aliens.
Good day.
Good day, Bashar. I have three. Thank you. Three people I'm working with that I would like some help with.
People that you are working with.
Yes.
In what capacity?
There's a child with an autistic condition.
Yes.
I have facilitated a repair in the magnetic field.
In what way? By what methodology?
I would say it would be through the help of William Gray.
And
I get the indication that the repair is in progress.
to some degree, you have accelerated certain ideas, but there may need to be further adjustments, further experiences that will allow for a full knitting to occur.
All right. Now I get that 70% of the problem with a child has to do with the magnetic field.
Well, that may be an effect that may be reinforcing the initial causations. It is not the initial cause, per se.
No.
But it is an effect that does need balancing so that it does not continue to reinforce and amplify the condition, yes.
And that there is a metabolic condition that can be addressed with...
Yes. But what about the emotional ones?
yes.
What are you doing for that? Or what is being done for that by someone?
This is an area that I'm perplexed about relative to the child directly.
Why? Are you allowed to hold the child?
The child voluntarily touched me. I think I might be able to.
This will be a sign of reparation, and the more that the physical contact can occur, then there will be an acceleration of reparation as well.
Very good. Very good. My most exasperating case is seated beside me on my...
Exasperating?
Yes.
Do you mean exciting?
That too.
It is one or the other at any given moment, not both.
Yes, that's altogether true.
Why, thank you.
There is a persistent cough.
Yes.
It is perhaps that I'm not the one to be addressing the issue. We have attempted many things.
Such as?
Dietary changes. My gosh, so many.
What about locational shift?
Really?
Where does this person really want to be?
Aha.
Explore the idea that they may feel they are being subjected to an environment that is not conducive to their being. Explore that and see what happens, what
Yes.
comes up.
Yes.
All right?
And the third one.
Yes.
Lady called me from Los Angeles, who's been dabbling, for quite a number of years, has been
Dabbling, experimenting.
undertaking
Undertaking.
work with Kundalini Yoga.
Yes.
without guidance.
Without any guidance whatsoever that you know of.
She's largely, this is what she says.
Yes. And so?
And sure, she's being overwhelmed by energies.
Overwhelmed?
Yes.
She must find that exciting then.
She finds it very uncomfortable.
I see. In your assessment, without judgment, would you consider this individual to be, to some degree in your terms, say, somewhat melodramatic?
That's a possibility I haven't considered. There seems to be a very considerable cost to her for this, for what's occurring.
Cost?
Physically.
In what terms?
Being incapacitated for considerable periods of time.
And the question again,
Yes.
asked in a different way,
Yes.
what does this individual get out of being overwhelmed and incapacitated?
This I need to investigate.
Yes. Find out what the individual may believe is the benefit to appearing to function as an incapacitated and overwhelmed individual. Find out what would be considered an advantage to be in that state. Then you will have a key that you can turn.
Thank you very much.
Does that help you?
It helps a lot.
Thank you. You.
First, I wanted to thank you for the last time that we spoke like this.
All right, thank you. As well.
For being such a perfect mirror
Thank
to
you.
me. I realized I was being really hard on myself.
Oh, all right.
And thanks for playing that role out with me.
My pleasure.
I can't explain it, but the love I felt led me to understand the mirror, but
Guys.
I know that, I don't know. I just want to thank you.
Thank you
'Cause I
for
know it's
choosing
not-
to be more of yourself. We also appreciate it greatly. Anytime each and every one of you makes a choice to be more of yourself, to us, the energy, just as an analogy, is the finest wine. You follow?
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yes, I follow.
To your health.
I was following and I had to be called because I have a few questions actually.
Yes. Proceed. Uncork and proceed. Pour
You
yourself
mean
out.
drain? Ooze?
Yes, if you wish.
About 2 months ago,
And the Oz.
the only way I'm just going to use words, but I don't know if I'm going to explain this properly, but
Well, you've used a sufficient amount of them explaining that you're trying to explain, so
Well-
why not just continue?
I will.
Thank you.
The only thing I can describe the experience is that I fell into my heart
All right.
as far as
That's poetic.
when I,
and
yeah,
apt.
I know. It sounds trite, but
Why? It is poetic and apt.
okay. I hear you.
Thank you.
And I would say shortly after that, I started falling. It would like go from my mind to my heart and then into my navel.
Yes. Connecting
And
the chakras.
yeah, but what happened about 2.5 weeks ago,
Yes.
my mom had a heart attack,
Yes.
or a heart awakening, as I told her it was.
All right.
And at the time I got the call, I was in a very deep meditation.
Yes.
So, and I've been around heart patients, so it didn't scare me. But my will just came so forward.
All right.
And for about 2 weeks, monitoring it from here and then going to be with her,
Yes.
it affected like everyone I came in contact with.
Yes.
And I have a question about will. I mean, it was interesting because intuitively I just pulled out Castanada's books again.
Oh, all right.
What I was experiencing during that time was it was so multidimensional and there were so many people being affected,
Yes.
and somehow I was monitoring it,
Yes.
that I needed more information on how to run my physical energy. And you know how Castaneda talks about the assemblage point
Yes.
and that type of thing.
Yes.
And he does say somewhere in there that why he likes the little smoke is because this type of energy actually fries your body. It's hard on the body. Which
That depends.
Which I don't believe. But I was
It
experiencing...
is, shall we say, to some degree capable of creating the experience of burnout if the intention is not clear. But if the intention is, no burnout occurs. Nothing is hard on the body in that way.
Right. I found myself tired in a certain way, but still having a lot of energy to keep it going.
Yes.
And so what I was wondering was if there was, since you're a physiological being, if there's
Yes.
any type of technique of working the energy in your body other than breathing or getting body work or doing yoga or
Yes.
that you can share.
Yes.
Thank you.
You will find that one very valuable and very quick technique for aligning the intention, grounding the self, and bringing all the chakras into shining agreement will be what you will witness in the beginning stances, the physical stances, or the positions adopted by what on your planet are classically referred to as sumo wrestlers.
Okay.
If you will observe the ritual of how they first will plant one foot and then the other foot with hands on thighs, with the accompanying sound from the gut, from the belly, from the throat, all in alignment, you will find that this will be a very aligning, purifying, cleansing, and clarifying technique. Then with the idea of allowing yourself to meet head-on whatever is coming at you energetically, but at that point then being not confrontive, but completely synchronized and meshed with the frequency of the energy. You and the energy will become one, there will be no difference, and you will find yourself standing stronger than before.
Yeah, I actually had that experience.
Oh, well, thank
Somehow I knew to see no conflict, and there were a lot of conflicting things.
Yes. In old labels,
especially
yes.
with people being really afraid about
Yes.
it and not understanding why I didn't jump on a plane immediately.
Yes. Well, this is in ancient language on your planet called the warrior's stance, the warrior's secret. And you instinctively know it because you have been a warrior several times.
Yeah, I guess I don't really relate to it as in a warrior sense, but
We are simply using
Yes.
the old term.
Is Castaneda put out some videos where they show the exercises? I think it's called Ten's Integrity or something like that. Tensegrity.
Yes.
Is that
There is a similarity to tensegrity. It is not identical, but there is a similarity, and tensegrity is to some degree based and an offshoot of the very simplistic example we have already just given you.
okay? Would it be better just to stick with sumo wrestling?
That's
or
up to you.
Could I combine?
You can do that, or you can
Well,
create any combination of these ideas that work
Right.
best for you in your present assessment of who and what you are.
Okay, I had one more question.
Yes.
In one of the little stories I think it was called, it was a separate reality, Don Gennaro is displaying to Carlos moving around a waterfall,
Yes.
and he throws some beams out from his assemblage point at his navel
Yes.
onto like a little rock,
Yes.
and he wraps the beams around the rock so he can then stand on this rock. Is that I don't know. I always have a little problem with doing stuff like that because I feel like it's manipulating energy.
You
But
are manipulating energy
anyway,
in a sense,
right?
but you don't have to use the word manipulating if that
Right.
has a negative connotation to you.
Well, I was wondering if how to create from the navel point, which do you start thinking of throwing out beams to things you want?
You can do it that way. There are a number of ways, and again, one of the things we have just told you is one of the ways that you do that. But in that sense, you are more likely throwing your entire attention out rather than singling it down to a single beam from the navel point. In a sense, you become the navel point. You become also the solar plexus. You become every chakra simultaneously in what we have already described as the seed form of what you have referred to.
Great.
But again, that is all a euphemism. For again, what you're really doing is making what appears to be out there your own in here. So in that sense, it's not really a manipulation. It is a true, shall we say, recognition and quote-unquote ownership.
Okay, I guess like a lot of these things do happen naturally under,
Yes.
like you said earlier, that
Yes.
intense desire. but since it's presenting itself a lot, and my balance sometimes is getting thrown off, I was just wondering if that was something that was a valid way, but this warrior stance sounds
More fun?
like it's more up my alley.
All right. Then by all means, go up your alley.
And then I wanted, with the questions about remote viewing,
Yes.
so you're saying it's resonance. I know that
Yes.
there have been times where I could feel people coming to see me,
Yes.
and,
It still requires
when the-
resonance identification
when
to
it's-
have that experience.
So if I don't want them there, I just shift my resonance, and a lot of times they can't follow me.
Well,
Is
in
that-
a sense,
is that
you
an
simply may
accurate-
not perceive them in your reality domain, although they
Right.
may perceive a version of you in theirs.
Right. Although, unless they're really good, because there was one really good person who could jump around with
They
me
may
for a
simply
while.
be capable of allowing themselves to have a
But-
broader spectrum
Right.
of accessibility in terms of resonance identification.
So is
Yes.
that one way, though, to let's say you felt it was an intrusion? Could you just shift is that an accurate way of getting them off your back, so to speak, is by shifting your resonance?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, also examine the idea of, first of all, of course, whether or not it actually truly is an intrusion, or whether you have, in that sense, simply been given an opportunity to understand that your particular frequency may not be on a level that you prefer it to be on. And you may be being given the gift of being shown that, so that then in switching it, you have the opportunity to thank them for showing you what level it was vibrating on.
Yeah, I've had that experience under, I guess, psychic attack, if you want to call it that.
Well, so to
where
speak.
I just I'm not going to fight this person. What a waste of energy. I would
Yes.
just shift my energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
You, and then you, and then you. Number 2, do you know who you are? Number 3, do you? Number 1, good day.
Hi, Bashar. Bashar,
Yes.
I'd like to go back to what we talked about in our last session about Moses.
Moses.
Yeah. I'm still a little confused. I'm sorry I'm a little slow. Maybe you could explain to me better the relationship between Moses and Moses
Yes.
and the aliens.
You know, like Ramses?
Exactly.
Moses.
Okay.
It is an ancient Egyptian name, not Moses. Moses.
Okay. And what the relationship between Moses,
Yes.
the aliens, and the alien craft that that created the parting of the Red Sea, and what the significance was of that event.
Oh, all right. One moment. The relationship on certain levels is as follows, and this is not necessarily every level. Number 1. It is generally recognized and understood that what you call the Hebrew nation is to some degree one of the offshoots of an ancient Orion stream that in the original Orion language is Chuva. In the influx of incarnations upon your planet that ultimately resulted in what you would call the Hebraic and Arabic and various offshoot other similar nations, there was the recognition of a new influx of this energy on your planet that required, shall we say, arrangement in your society, that things needed to be arranged, moved around, so that the proper energy dynamic would be created that would set up certain circumstances for what you would call the evolution of your planet, that certain societies, certain energies, certain thought forms, certain beliefs, certain cultures needed to move here or there, to cross-pollinate in certain ways, to inhabit certain areas, to bring energy to certain areas, to allow there to be more balance, ultimately. In this way, this was recognized as the Moses being an ancient leader and connected to, incarnationally and vibrationally, the beings in the craft, in that sense, familially, to some degree, also to some degree genetically. And the idea then is that they assisted in relocating the vibration of that particular culture on your planet for the ultimate future consequences that would result, or at least were available to result, from the spreading out and mixing up of those genes, that energy, those thoughts, those ideas, those points of view. And so there was, at that time, because of the nature of that time, being what it was, the ability to be open in direct communication, more or less, and to guide, to relocate that culture in a different place on your planet for the overall human agenda as it needed to be played out on the earth with regard to the mixing in of new energies, new incarnational energies. You follow?
Yes. We've also discussed before a long time ago that also part of the reason of the negativity here on this planet is not only the polarity and the densification of our atmosphere, but also because of incarnations from the Orion constellation. So I'm wondering, is a lot of this because of what was created here, there was somewhat of a responsibility that was taken on by some alien races, and in fact even Moses was a representation of that, and that he was actually trying to help to correct that as much as possible.
Though he was not informed of the entire agenda, at least not in terminology that was understood by the extraterrestrials. Yes. A little bit different, but somewhat. For the purposes of the illustration, yes, it is sufficient.
I'd like to move in another area if that's okay.
Do you wish us to part any seas for you?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, all right.
Are there reptilians involved with the Galactic Federation?
No,
Why
not
not?
directly, no.
Why not?
It is, in that sense, not who they are. It is, in that sense, not their vibration to be. They are not, in that sense, a cohesive civilization, as you would understand that, in the way that is representative of those that are in what we call the Association of Worlds. It is, in a sense, an attached civilization, energetically, a limbic offshoot of the gray civilization, genetically engineered, and part of the collective consciousness of the grays that represents their primal level. In that sense, they do not function as a cohesive civilization, but as an appendage to another civilization. You follow?
Yes, that makes sense, too. So basically, maybe, I know this isn't a very good way of wording this, but so they kind of almost didn't evolve exactly they were initially intended to evolve in.
Again, the idea is that they were one of the first genetic manipulations derived from what you would call the dinosaur DNA on your world before the creation of the genetic manipulation of the hominid DNA that led to the human body.
Yes, we discussed that.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I got a couple more for you.
All right.
You've said that your race of beings are a hybrid of us and the Greys, correct?
Generally, yes.
Were you initially created, maybe not in the final results, but here on this planet?
Not so much, no. The idea being that most of our ancestors were finalized in their form in what you would call spacecraft, not actually on your planet. Though, again, genetic material was derived from your planet.
Was it within our solar system?
Yes, sometimes not.
Initially, I mean like right off the bat.
Off the bat.
Right off the bat.
There were stations that were set up in your solar system for the initiation of the hybridization experimentations, yes. And at the same time, on spacecraft that traveled out of your solar system as well.
Okay, thank
but
you.
not exactly on your planet, except in some rare instances where certain adjustments needed to be made, and it was deemed necessary that they needed to be made within the planetary environment, within the planetary gravity, within the planetary atmosphere, in order to give the genetic spin what it needed to have. But those are long over with in your term.
Okay, Bashar,
Yes.
are there any Anunnaki either here physically on Earth or communicating telepathically with anyone here?
Not in their original form contemporarily, unless you are referring to the Greys as the devolved result of a certain branch of Anunnaki.
Okay.
Did you understand that already?
Yeah, somewhat. Maybe another faction then.
A faction of the Anunnaki set up shop, if you will, on a planet, and ultimately created catastrophes in their world that ultimately resulted in the devolution of themselves into the form you now understand as the Grey.
Right, I actually knew that.
So
Okay.
in that sense, they are still, to some degree, Anunnaki, though they now require the idea of the genetic material that they utilize to create the human body to begin with, to reinforce their own race and create the hybrid species so that they can incarnationally continue. So in that sense, I suppose if you want to simply talk about it incarnationally, you and we together are also offshoots of Anunnaki,
Yes, exactly.
at least to some degree genetically.
Are there any, maybe looking at it from a time-traveling standpoint, although we know there's no time really linearly, but
There is if you create there
if you
to be
create it,
time. Yes.
exactly. But are there any ones from what we would perceive from our past that are here now that have
From
say,
time to
jumped?
time, they do peer in, yes. From time to time, they have participated in certain things, yes. It is not that common. From time to time, this has been done, yes. It is not that common.
Okay. And when
Some of what individuals have called the large Nordics are to some degree representative of some of the ancient Anunnakis. You follow?
Yes, I've heard you say that before.
Yes. Does that help you?
One more question, please.
Oh, all right.
Is there anything, Bashar, that you think that either I personally or people in generally should not remote view because it could harm us, or maybe we're not ready to see it?
We will leave that up to you and your own spontaneity. And also to what you want to believe to be true.
Well, I believe,
End of conversation.
Yeah, well, I think you already know. what I
End
believe.
of conversation. Number 2. You, however, can be number 4.
Sure, I was.
Good day.
Good day. I was very inspired by what you had to say at the beginning.
Oh, all right.
And I'm looking for some assistance in.
A swift kick.
Okay, in getting to a place where I can follow my bliss.
Getting to a place where you can follow your bliss. You can't get there if you're not already following your bliss.
How do I know what my bliss is?
Non-bliss does not lead to bliss. Only bliss leads to bliss. So, unless you are blissful where you are, which doesn't mean you have to necessarily prefer the circumstances, but you have to know that they're there for a blissful reason and can be used in a blissful way, then you can never allow yourself to experience any other bliss because you have to be in a blissful state in order to bring in more bliss. Like attracts like. How do you find your bliss? It's simple. You simply start simply if you find it too complex any other way, and look at all the options and opportunities that are available to you to act on at any given moment, and simply ask yourself, out of all these things I could do, which has the highest degree of excitement that I'm capable of taking an action on, and when you determine what that might be, act on it. That's all you have to do. That is what is meant by acting on your bliss.
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Are you willing to allow it to be that simple so that it can become not more complicated, but more complex and rich?
Am I willing?
Yes, are you willing?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I would like some assistance with the fear about taking action.
Fear of taking action. All right. Fear of taking action, you mean in the direction of what you recognize as your bliss?
or anything I would
Because
love to
obviously
do.
you are taking actions all the time, so obviously you're not afraid of taking all actions, or you would be completely
Correct.
inactive and inoperative.
Correct.
You would be in a coma.
Which I'm not.
All right, thank you. So obviously you are all right with taking some actions, yes? So the fear that you are referring to has to do with certain specific actions then? Is that what you are intimating?
It would seem to be saying I love to do this and go doing it despite
Despite what?
my own preconceptions about what I should be doing, how I should be earning a living,
Yes.
where I should be living, the
Yes.
relationships I should be having.
I see. And so?
I'm shitting all over myself.
Yes. And what do you get out of doing that? How does it serve you to do that?
I don't have to risk.
Why do you define these things as risk in the negative sense?
Because they can be scary.
You
For me.
are being circular in your logic. You are saying, I will not risk because they are scary, and they are scary because I will not risk. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, you are being circular in your logic. You are trapping yourself in a loop. What do you get out of defining being yourself as somehow being negatively risky? What do you get out of that?
The question, what is my purpose in life? Passion is your purpose in life. Your purpose is passion. What does that mean? It means that passion and all of its expressions, excitement, happiness, joy, creativity, love, are all different ways of expressing the vibration of your true natural self, what we call your signature frequency. Your signature frequency is that resonant energy, that vibration that is unique to you, that identifies you as a unique aspect of all that is of creation. And the way you apply that signature frequency through passion is to act on your highest excitement to the best of your ability, with no insistence or assumption as to what the outcome ought to be, as to what to come to fruition, but to allow the synchronicity in your life to present to you the opportunities that contain that excitement so you can recognize it, because excitement is the compass needle that points to your magnetic north. And by acting on it to the best of your ability, you will bring about in your life what we call the complete kit. You will allow it to work for you. And you will discover very readily, very easily, that excitement can function in your life as the driving engine, as the organizing principle, as the path of least resistance, as the thread that leads to all other expressions of excitement, and as the reflective mirror that will reveal to you what may be within you that is out of alignment with that excitement, so you can identify it and bring it back into alignment and expand your excitement in that way. And simply by following that formula of acting at every moment to the best of your ability on your highest excitement, with no insistence on how the outcome should look, you will activate that complete kit, and it will work for you automatically, effortlessly, every moment, without fail, as it's working for you now. But the idea is to not use the mechanism of creation to reinforce the things that are out of alignment with your preferred self, your natural self, your true self, but to use the very same mechanism to reinforce what is in alignment with who you prefer to be. As you allow yourself to move forward in that way, your life will become an ecstatic explosion of synchronicity, very magical. Things will begin to happen all around you, because magic is again the true nature of existence. Miracles are the natural order of things, not the exception. And you can experience more and more of that miraculous magic the more you are in alignment with your natural energy, with your natural flow. Your willingness to act this way in life is a commitment that you make to yourself that leads you to the understanding that there is, in fact, a fundamental principle to this idea of acting on your passion. But before we get to that, let us give an example, shall we say, of how this concept can be practically applied in your physical reality by using the example of some form of project or business or career that may excite you, that you may be very attracted to, and demonstrate at every step, at every point, how to allow yourself to stay in alignment with that energy. So first and foremost, of course, the principle itself of passion, being that you need to act on those things that really are representative and reflective of that highest excitement, that joy, that creativity. Now, of course, again, please remember that excitement doesn't mean that you have to be jumping up and down, running around, as you say, with your hair on fire. But the idea is that it can be experienced as bliss, as a state of balanced peace as well. There are many expressions of the idea of passion and excitement. Those and also compassion being one of them. But as you allow yourself to experience this excitement, this bodily, physical translation of that vibrational energy that is your signature frequency, and you thus gravitate and attract yourself to some project, business, career, or what have you, or even just moment to moment, step by step, first and foremost, make sure that the project, I'll just use that term for now, is truly representative of your highest passion in all ways. In all ways, so that you do it in the way that is most exciting, so that it is really reflective of your excitement in all of its aspects. That it is, in all of its components, truly aligned, truly being experienced, truly being created, truly being laid out with that passion in mind, so that you are doing it where you wish to do it that's most exciting, with whom you wish to do it that's most exciting, which leads you to the idea of another principle of passion, and that is, after passion, after project, then there is preparedness. Be prepared. Learn the things that are germane, that will give you the skills, that will give you the abilities to follow up on your passion. And again, as we said, there is no need to be afraid that some of the things that are required that you might need to learn would have to be learned in any other way other than the way that's most exciting. Many of you have this misunderstanding that just because you have to learn something in order to better enable you to act on your passion, that somehow the learning of that thing is outside of your passion. Nothing could be further from the truth. There is always a way. If you truly need to learn something, if you truly need to develop a skill that will give you a better ability to act on your passion, there is always going to be a way that's the most exciting way you can learn that thing. So please don't create contradictory definitions within your excitement by assuming that you can act on your excitement, but that the thing you need to learn to do it best would actually be not exciting. That's a contradiction in the definition of excitement. Anything that you truly need to learn must, by definition, be capable of being learned in a way that is equal to the excitement of the thing itself. If you want to look at that as an equation and a formula, go ahead. But that's the way it works. Your definition of excitement must be clear and self-consistent so that you don't have contradictory and conflicting definitions within your consciousness about what your excitement is or what other areas of your life it extends into that would somehow be contrary to that excitement, which it cannot be if it's a true definition. If you find that there is conflict, if you find there's contradiction, then it is important to realize that you may not have a clear definition of excitement, and it's time to refine that, time to examine it, time to explore it, time to make sure it's all lined up and that all the definitions you're using for the things you really need to do are being defined in the most exciting way possible. After you know that this is your passion, after the project is designed by you to be expressed in the most exciting way, after you have attracted to yourself the idea of all the things you need to learn to be prepared in the most exciting way, then the next, after passion and project and preparedness, is people. Attract to yourself all the best people who are equally excited about what it is you are doing, who you wish to work with side by side, who you wish to collaborate with. Because again, doing what excites you the most must not only be done where it's most exciting, how it's most exciting, but with whom it's most exciting. And if those people do not exhibit the same passion, the same compatible vibration, they may not be the ones that really need to be aligned with you or you with them. Do not fear to allow yourself to recognize that things may be vibrationally incompatible with some individuals, because by allowing yourself to only align with those who are vibrationally compatible with your passion and you with theirs, you are thus allowing more synchronicity to occur, more magnification and amplification and acceleration to occur. And you're also doing a favor, a loving favor to those who are not vibrationally compatible by letting them go their own way. Because then you are allowing them to find what is truly exciting for them instead of holding them to something that may not really be exciting for them. Allow yourself to make sure that arena is also clear and clean. And finally, in this 5-part idea, after passion, after project, after preparedness, after people, is persistence. The idea of following through, of taking action in all the ways that need to be taken, all the way out, all the way through. And again, there is absolutely nothing about these ideas of persistence and these ideas of taking action and following through that has to be in any way contradictory to the vibration of your excitement and your passion. There will always be a way to do that. And again, in some senses, it is self-reinforcing, because if you truly, truly, truly are passionate about what it is you're taking action on, then you will persist, because nothing else excites you more than this. And that brings about its own persistence. And this brings us to the true underlying fundamental principle of passion. And that is, you have brought yourself to a place where there is no other choice. Period. You ensure that you don't create reasons that are contradictory to the idea of your passion. You don't create any other choice that seems as exciting, as reasonable, as logical for you to persist on. The idea of following through and persistence will come automatically with your passion when you allow yourself to recognize truly that you've arrived at a place where there is no other choice in that moment but that thing that is representative at that moment of your highest joy, your highest passion. Don't create reasons to do things that are outside of that vibration. Now, that being said, as has been said, certainly you have to honor your belief system as it exists in that moment. Because if you really do believe that your excitement can't support you, and you believe you need to hold on to the things that you're doing that are not necessarily representative of your highest excitement, but you believe you need them in order to support yourself in life, then honor your belief system and don't let go of those things until you yourself are absolutely certain, absolutely know at whatever rate you're comfortable, at whatever pace works best for you, that your excitement can in fact support you. But at least give yourself the chance, at least give yourself the opportunity. Every single opportunity you can act on that is representative of your excitement, act on it to the best of your ability with no insistence on the outcome. And bit by bit, by bit by bit, and day by day, you will allow your excitement to demonstrate to you, to prove to you that more and more every day in every way it actually will bring about the synchronous opportunities and the synchronous circumstances that will be capable of supporting you in some way, shape, or form, as long as you are willing to open up your definitions of what support means. Because again, excitement being a complete kit will bring you the type of support that is truly necessary at that moment, even though it may be very different looking than the type of support you're used to receiving or that your society has taught you you think you need in order to go to the next stage or the next level. The type of support that needs to be there to allow you to continue to act on higher and higher levels of your excitement will be there if you allow yourself to understand, again, how not to have a contradictory definition of excitement and understand it as a complete kit. And by complete, we mean complete, which means it leaves nothing out that you truly need. This is how the mechanism works. And the real fundamental principle, when you finally get to the point of acting on your passion because there is simply no other choice for you, you will accelerate at such a rate and your life will become so ecstatic and so magical and things will appear before you in such a synchronistic way that you will think you are dreaming, which you are. But you will be experiencing it in the physical dream. And it will be one more way that you can demonstrate and prove to yourself that you are creating your reality, that your definitions in your conscious mind, in what makes up your personality structure, are the foundations that determine how you experience yourself in reality, as reality, how it's reflected to you. And as you get a handle on understanding that those definitions are the blueprints, and as you allow yourself to change your definitions to be more in alignment with your passion, more representative of how you prefer to define your life, yourself, your circumstances, then again you create more and more alignment, more and more harmonics within your experience of reality. And you can use whatever feelings may come up when the kit of excitement may show you something, may reveal something in you that might be out of alignment with your passion, with your true vibration. You can use those harmonics. You can use that assurance that if you change your definitions, you'll bring it back into alignment. You use your feelings, you use your emotions to trace back to what definitions must be true in order for you to have those feelings, because no feeling can be had without a definition first. And the more you understand and apply this, and truly, truly understand that this is a description of the mechanism of creation itself, and use it from that perspective, then again, the more everything will flow, the smoother everything will be. It's really that simple. Simple as coming down to the realization and the understanding that there is no other choice for you. And you don't have to invent any other reasons to do something other than that. You don't have to buy into any definitions that are out of alignment with what you prefer. That's really the simple principle, the fundamental principle underlying passion, is that you are making a decision, you are making a choice, and that choice is this and nothing else that is not representative of your highest joy, of your highest frequency. And again, at whatever rate is comfortable for you. But that's how it works. Does that make sense to you? Yes. Is that something you think you can get passionate about? All right.
So I have chosen to serve people in the form of being a relationship coach.
Oh, all right. How exciting.
Thank you. And I do this through the teachings of masculine and feminine energies and the dichotomy of that in relationships.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that I'm not spreading any misinformation. I was wondering if you could clarify how the duality of masculine and feminine energies applies to the relationship dynamics romantically.
Well, the idea is for each side to be reflected what they need to allow for a balance to occur on each side of both masculine and feminine energy in each individual. Does that make sense?
So if is it correct to say that, I guess, men operating from more feminine or wounded feminine energy are imbalanced and therefore need to attract partners that will reflect that imbalance?
The idea is that each male and each female contains the ability of the opposite, contains the reflections of the opposite. And to balance them and bring them out equally in each individual is the key. So that males have a balance of masculine and feminine energy, not meaning that they literally become more feminine, but they are able and willing to express more of the receptive energies, whereas the females in balance can express more of the idea of the assertive energies that are commonly associated with males on your planet. So that each individual in the relationship is a balance of both. And they will usually attract into their lives, whether they know it or not, whether they take advantage of it or not, those individuals who will reflect to each what they need to achieve that balance within themselves.
When that balance is reached, is that usually when partners stay together, or?
Maybe. It doesn't mean that they have to. It can be that that was what they needed to achieve and then they move on to something else. So it's not necessarily absolutely expected that they have to stay together, but there is certainly a higher probability that they can if they continue to serve each other in that way. Does that help?
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
Is there a technique or strategy that I can use as a coach in my one-on-one sessions to best reflect back to my clients what they need to know at that time to help them reframe their mindset to move forward?
Well, you can ask them what their definition of the opposite energy is, and you can get them to explore any fear-based beliefs that surround it, so they can be willing to let those fear-based beliefs go about the incorporation of the duality. Does that make sense?
Could you clarify it a bit?
In other words, let's say you are, for example, dealing with a male individual who is exhibiting a lot of masculine energy, but not very much of the feminine side. You can engage them in a conversation to ask them what their definition would be, how they see, how they view, how they define the idea, what it means to them if they were to incorporate more of the feminine energy within themselves, to see if their definition is something that actually is representative of balance, or if their definition out of fear is representative of something that is not in balance, that they have an erroneous definition of what that balance would look like, so that you can begin to explore what their definitions of the balance would actually be like, so that they can lose the fear of incorporating the balance within themselves by having a more harmonious definition of what would happen should they do so. Did that make more sense?
Yes. And in the case where a male that is has less feminine heart-centered energy, and I run into this problem where clients don't often experience emotions and are shut down, I don't know how to help guide them through that situation through online interactions.
All right. Well, again, the questions is fundamentally, what are they afraid would happen if they actually allowed themselves to feel those emotions? What are they afraid the outcome of that would be? To get them to start exploring, if they're willing to start exploring what the outcomes they're afraid would happen if they did in fact allow their emotions to be more expressed. And then perhaps you will have some information to go off of, if they're willing to admit it.
Okay.
If they're not, there's not much you can do for them.
How does one know when they found that partner? So I know I've seen a video where you said that the purpose of relationships is to reflect one another, what one needs to know to become more of themselves. How do you know that you are the version of yourself that is ready to commit and has learned that lesson?
You will feel freer, you will feel lighter in the presence of a person who serves you that way if you're willing to be open to it. You will actually feel more like yourself. You have heard this phrase on your planet uttered in those kinds of relationships where people say, I feel more like me in your presence. I feel I can be expressive of who I truly am when you're around. That kind of feeling is usually a reflection of when someone is serving you to be more of yourself, because they are not judging you, they are accepting you for who you are and accepting whatever processes you may need to go through to discover more clearly who you are. And so that usually translates as feeling free to be yourself in that relationship, whatever that means at the moment. Free to explore being more. It's a lightness of feeling. It's a lightness and feeling of freedom.
Okay.
Does that help you at all?
Yes, that was very beautiful and poetic. I loved it.
All right.
How accurate is using astrology? Is it something?
It depends on the person. It depends on the person. Remember that all things in physical reality are permission slips. Some permission slips work for people and some don't. It depends on whether it aligns with your belief system. If it does, it will work for you. If you're attracted to use it, the attraction is usually a sign that it's aligning with your belief system and will work for you. Ultimately, of course, you realize you are the ultimate permission slip because you're the one making the changes anyway, and that eventually you no longer need the permission slip itself to make those changes. But it can illuminate sometimes and reflect to you some of the things that are going on within your consciousness because you believe it is something that can work for you. So it depends on the person and what their belief system is about that particular permission slip. And remember, all those things are reflections. They're not causes.
Okay. My last question is, what do I need to know at this moment that will help me in my journey of helping others through what I do?
What you need to know is that a healer simply provides an opportunity to explore options that the person needing to be healed needs to match and align with in order to heal themselves. A healer never heals anyone directly, but they give the person the opportunity to heal themselves. Whatever a person does with whatever it is you share with them is none of your business. You have done all you can just by providing the option and the opportunity to match the frequency you're giving off in order for that person to decide to heal themselves. It's not that they have to do that, and many people may come to you with different agendas, including the inability to heal themselves. So you have still given them what they came for. So you have to relax the idea that you need to heal everyone and save everyone, because you can't do that. You can only provide them with the option that someday they may incorporate within themselves when they are ready to do so. Does that lighten the issue for you?
Yes. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are so welcome. Aveo.
Hello, Bashar from Switzerland. I had a question regarding the hybridization agenda that you mentioned, that we can choose to become the sixth hybrid race. And I'm asking, what is so beneficial for us to become this hybrid race, since we are mixing our DNA with a race that went through a negative path? Of course, they went through a big transformation, but what are we gaining from becoming this hybrid race, since we are receiving a lot of downloads and information from you, but in terms of the DNA exchange, what is the win situation for us? Thank you for your reply. Have a nice day.
You have a misunderstanding. You're not mixing DNA with a group that went through a negative path. You're mixing with the hybrids who have never experienced that path. The grays experience the negativity, but the hybrids have not. Therefore, you are mixing with a different form of humanity that has never experienced negativity. That is what helps you uplift. That is what raises your vibration, is taking advantage of the information and perspectives of a group of beings that are a different form of human that have only experienced the idea of positive vibrations that move you forward in your evolutionary path to becoming the sixth hybrid race, which is simply another way of saying that you are functioning fully, more fully as human beings, which most of you actually aren't yet fully human.
Hello, Bashar and everyone.
Good day, good day.
I had a dream that I'd like to get your insight on.
All right.
I was traveling to and moving into an abandoned southwestern home. I went to the kitchen and opened up a rectangular door about 3 foot long, and there was a diminutive alien skeleton in it that was glowing orange, had an orange metallic tunic, Native American beads, a feather headdress with red, white, blue, yellow, orange feathers that were mottled. It certainly wasn't of this world. I opened the oven and another skeleton was in flames, but I don't think it was being consumed. This felt like a very deeply sacred and spiritual experience that I felt honored to be a part of. And it's just kind of baffled me. It just impacted me so much. Do you have any thoughts or comments?
Yes. What you experience to some degree is a recognition and a perception of the interaction between some ancient extraterrestrial beings and the indigenous tribes of your Southwest in the past. Many indigenous tribes, many indigenous peoples on your planet have had contact with extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional beings for hundreds, if not thousands of years. The irony is that while many people on your planet are waiting for open contact, many indigenous peoples have had open contact for quite a long time. It's just that in their cultures, they don't necessarily share that readily with other cultures who don't know that's going on. And in the cultures that don't know it's going on, their belief systems often prevent them from accepting the fact that that's been happening in the indigenous cultures. So on one level, you're perceiving the fact that this has been going on for quite some time. You're picking up on some very ancient vibrations, ancient encounters, represented by the blending of those ET forms with ancient Atlantean and Aztecan kinds of regalia that they are wearing, which represents the idea of the blending and the interactions and connections between the two, and how many ancient indigenous peoples are actually the ancestors of some of those extraterrestrial beings. The idea of the being on fire in the oven is a representation of the kind of power and energy that they bring with them in coming from one dimension, one reality, to another. You are perceiving a connection between your physical reality and a different reality being expressed to you in those symbolic forms with connections to these ancient extraterrestrial consciousnesses. Does that help you?
Yes, wow, that's so powerful. Thank you.
Yes.
In December of 2010, I woke up and received a download, and it was elements of this incredible story, an iconic mythical figure of modern times that has a connection with Atlantis. And I could see this story being like a combination of the magic of Harry Potter with the intrigue of the Da Vinci Code and an epic tale of Lord of the Rings. I could see this story being shared to share spiritual concepts in an entertaining way. I've spent years researching Atlantis, the Tuatha De Danann, High Brazil, ancient civilizations, megalithic cultures, and I'm just stuck. I've not been able to write. I'm a good writer, but I write usually like marketing materials. Fiction and character development, I'm just having a hard time. But my research has led me to you. And I'm just wanting to know, maybe is my purpose to the journey to be here, or am I to write this? I'm stuck. I don't know what to do.
All right, you can write it, but are you familiar with the idea of story structure?
Well, no, not really.
All right. So it might be of assistance to you to investigate the concept of story structure, because in the telling of any tale, in the telling of any story, it is highly critical, highly important to make sure you are following story structure, because story structure is built into the psyche of humanity. And if you tell a story with the salient points, the salient, shall we say, beats of a story structure that are built into your psyche, then people will remember the story. It will feel authentic. If you miss any of those beats, it won't feel authentic. It won't resonate. This is why stories last for thousands of years, because if the pattern is followed of story structure, it resonates with that structure in all of your psyches. So we would suggest that you investigate the idea of story structure and follow that general outline. Get used to the understanding of what kind of beats need to be in a story, how they need to be presented, when they need to be presented. Then you can loosen up the structure a little bit according to the way your intuition will drive the story forward. But following the structure in general is highly important to tell the story in the correct way. Since you don't have a framework for what story structure is, that may be where you're getting slowed down.
Yeah, it was some great elements, but I just don't know how to proceed. I have a main character, but I don't have anything else. So
all right. Well, again, story structure can inform you as to what the main character needs to go through in order for it to seem relevant to your readers. You may avail yourself of many books that exist in your society about story structure, one of the most popular being the idea called The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with that one. So, yes.
Have you read it? Have you read it?
No, but I am familiar with Joseph Campbell. I've read several of his books. So,
all right. Well, you have not read The Hero's Journey then?
no.
All right. That is the one specifically that outlines the idea of story structure. You can also
I'll look into that.
You can also avail yourself of several that are connected to the idea of the film industry, because they also talk about the importance of story structure, even though it may be presented in filmic terms.
Yeah.
So,
great. Thank you.
Familiarize yourself with that. And when you understand the story structure, it will inform your character and inform you as to what your character needs to experience.
Wonderful. So after this download, I made a commitment to it that I would follow wherever that took me. And a few months later, my longtime marriage ended. And just kind of to summarize briefly, I kind of went into a dark night of the soul. One morning I woke up and there was an energetic presence. Yes. And immediately Paul McCartney's song, Let It Be, when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary will come to me. And I just got this overwhelming sense of unconditional love.
Yes.
And then a few minutes later, I had a vision of a woman in a scarlet dress who was a very strong, spirited woman, but also very loving. And these experiences just baffled me. A couple of days later, I was in a state of well-being and bliss immediately, but that lasted a couple of days. And I knew this was real because my reality had been completely altered.
Yes. It's up to you to continue the vibration once you've been exposed to it. All you have to do is remember what that felt like when that vision came to you, and you're actually back in that frequency, even though it may feel different.
What is the origin of these? I just called it energetic presence, but
Yes, but you called upon the idea of Mary as a reflection, but not the Mother Mary. You called upon the Magdalene,
Okay. Okay.
hence the scarlet
Wonderful.
dress.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. A
Thus,
final. Oh, go ahead.
yes, thus the idea of standing within your self-empowerment, being the one to tell the stories, being the one to hold the information, the one to spread it among the people. This is what the Magdalene was responsible for, in taking the information that was provided by the individual known as Jesus and spreading it among the disciples. The Magdalene was the primary disciple responsible for spreading the information. So you are calling upon her fortitude to spread the information that you need to spread. She is encouraging you to move forward with that.
Wow. Wow. Final question.
Yes,
So I live in an area in southern Illinois that's nicknamed Little Egypt.
yes,
We have Luxor, towns named Luxor, Thebes, Karnak, Cairo.
yes,
Comically, also, I live in a town that had the motto, hub of the universe.
yes,
I live in a small town. I'm not Midwest, not hub of the earth or galaxy, hub of the universe.
yes.
Is this just small town egocentric thinking, or is there something to this and the Little Egypt theme?
You know there is something to it, and that's why you're there. So it helps you with your connections, the connections you have made to aid and assist you in this life to move forward in your themes of exploration and your expression of your passion. So it gives you a kind of a center balance point from which you can expand yourself, from which you can express yourself. So it is usable and recognizable as the energy of a vortex that you can draw upon to center yourself, balance yourself, and come from your center to be the hub of your universe.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bashar. I'm so grateful and grateful for our community here.
Our deep appreciation to you as well. Please move forward with your truth.
Thank you.
Good day.